You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
My guest today is Todd Kelly. Todd is a board-certified personal injury lawyer in Austin, Texas, and he was named Texas Lawyer Hall of Fame in 2013. And he's been a Texas super lawyer for over a decade. Now, he has an AV rating with Martindale-Hubbell. Now, you may not know this, but the AV is the highest level of professional excellence for legal expertise. So that's who we're dealing with today. Todd is a member of many boards and organizations. He actually teaches other attorneys in trial skills and advocacy and he's a frequent lecturer around the country. He's a former Marine. Don't let that long hair fool you. He's a former Marine in the U.S. Marine Corps, and he has served both as a combat engineer officer and a judge advocate. And after graduating from the Dickinson School of Law in Pennsylvania, he was also a member of the Woolsack Honor Society. Todd is married to Robbie Kelly. He has 4 children, Joshua, Megan, Matthew, and Selby. He is also an active member of Celebration Church in Georgetown, and he serves weekly, and he's a recent graduate of their Celebration Leadership Institute. It's a Bible Studies diploma program. Todd, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic. Now, you wrote this book. We're going to talk about it in a minute, The Power Within. But I read the book, Todd, and I did happen to leave you a review, so it's on Amazon. Go check it out. But as I read through, saw what you said, I know what what is out there in the world. And basically the image of lawyers is not generally seen as a paragon of ethics and virtue.
Right.
So what comes generally to mind for a lot of people is the ambulance chaser or the lying lawyer. But you're a practicing lawyer. From your perspective, how do you think people see lawyers today?
Well, I think that perspective still exists. We've spent decades now being inundated with the insurance industry's depiction of what we do. And that is, terms like greedy trial lawyer or frivolous lawsuit lottery, or as you said, ambulance chaser, and those sorts of things. There's a reason why we are depicted that way. If you think about it, the person or the entity that is most responsible financially when we are able to do something for our clients is the insurance industry. And so they spend a good bit of money and a whole lot of time advertising that we are. So I think that persists.
Oh, you think it's that image is being created by the insurance industry?
I have no doubt. It's been created. It's certainly fostered by the insurance industry. Absolutely.
Well, that definitely makes sense to me. That it's in their interest. I can see that. So as I was reading through your book, Todd, you made a comment that justice is just an illusion. Do you still think so?
In a lot of ways, that is absolutely true. And it's unfortunate because, we in this country, and certainly, as you mentioned, I served as a Marine, we believe that we are better, that our justice system, and it still is, I believe, the best in the world, but it is far from perfect. A friend of mine, actually, who happens to be a lawyer, posted something just today on Facebook, and it said that she would be perfect if she was actually blind, and it was a statue of the Lady Justice. The problem is that there's so many things in our justice system that are skewed. We take an oath, we get on the stand and we say we swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The problem is that the system is skewed so that we're not even allowed to tell the whole truth. The things that the jury cannot ever know would disgust most people. For instance, they can't know about the existence of insurance in most cases. They can't know about a lot of the reason that we're there most of the time is because the offers made by the insurance industry were so low. It's not because there's a greedy plaintiff. It's because their damages are so bad and the offers have been so low that we have no choice but to take them before a jury of their peers.
Wow. Being a paralegal myself, I can tell you, I came to the conclusion that America, and I'm originally from Jamaica, America has a legal system, not a justice system. That was my personal take. So it doesn't sound like we're thinking too differently on that. Now,
I like the way you put that, actually. We're not at all.
Yeah. So, Todd, you wrote the book, The
Right.
Power Within. Who did you write that book for?
When I first started writing it, I was writing exclusively to trial lawyers. It had a different name, and it was written exclusively to people in my profession because so many in my profession take their lives because of the stress that this profession creates. But as I wrote it, I realized it has a broader application. And so as I wrote the book, I really realized I'm writing not only to trial lawyers, I'm also writing to the general public, really every professional. And there's kind of an undertone here that, not only am I writing to, but I'm also writing for professionals because I'm writing to people that don't understand some of the things we just talked about. Most trial lawyers that I know take on this secondary stress of their clients, and it can be devastating, to the point of, in many cases, lawyers taking their lives. So it's written really for everybody, but it was exclusively trial lawyers when it started.
As you say that, Todd, a lot of people think sometimes that doctors don't have any bedside manners, but what happens is kind of what you said right there. They have been overwhelmed with their patients' cases, and they try to keep their own sanity within the environment of pain. And so they develop almost like a callus. And I think that's something like what you're explaining right here.
Yeah, my wife actually, her family is in the medical profession. Both her mother and her grandmother were nurses, and they used to talk about what they call dark humor. But dark humor is prevalent in the legal profession as well. I wouldn't want people to hear what some of my staff talk about, but it's not because they don't care. It's because they are trying to deal with a very painful situation and to sort of laugh it off as their way of coping.
Yeah, coping strategy for sure. So we're going to get into the meat of this now.
Sure.
Todd, you lost everything. There's a reason why you wrote that book. You lost everything. You lost your family. You lost your firm. You had your own firm. You
Right.
lost your reputation. You lost your biggest case. According to your book, and I don't want to give the whole story away, guys. You do want to read this book. It is, let me tell you, I read the book. Todd's style of writing drew me into this closet. Okay. He's in the closet about to kill himself. And his writing style, literally, I felt like I was in the closet with him. So that's his style. It's very, it's intense, and you feel, and I wonder if that's the way you are when you're out in front of the jury, that you bring the reality of the experience almost so tangibly. So you went in the closet to kill yourself, Todd. Have you finally found the answer to, so is it worth dying for? What put you in the closet anyways?
Well, it's interesting you say that I lost everything. Before I lost everything, and actually before I even answer that, thank you for that compliment. I don't want it to go unappreciated. But before I lost all of the things that you mentioned, I lost my way. And when I say that, I did a lot of things wrong. I had achieved a certain level of success and a certain level of notoriety, and I believed I'd achieved it on my own. And I enjoyed the trappings of my profession for a time. I was not a good husband. I was a womanizer. I was chasing money. I was really not paying attention to my children in the way that I should. Loved them, but I didn't pay enough attention to them. And most importantly, I had really lost my connection and my relationship with my God. And when all of that happened, and then the case was lost so publicly, I really struggled with whether it was better for me to be dead. The demons in my head told me I was worth more dead than alive, that I could, somehow make amends for all of the damage I had caused by taking my life. And to answer your question, yes, I have answered that question permanently for myself.
Is it worth dying for?
It is not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. Our professions, whether that be my profession or any other profession, is not worth our lives. At the end of the day, what we are supposed to do, what we are intended to do, is to do our jobs and to do them well, but to understand that we're not really in control. At the end of the day, there's a Lord who's in control of everything. And if we can remember that and keep that in perspective, then we understand our lives are worth way more than our professions are.
Yes. And you know what? We're replaceable too at our jobs, and we're not replaceable to our families and those who matter to us. Now,
Very true.
Todd, you are now married to Robbie.
Yes.
You have a baby girl? Baby girl, right? Beautiful baby girl.
She's 3, yes.
She's 3. So, congratulations, by the way. Now, with your former wife, Mary Sue, you said in your book, and I quote, "She offered to sit with me, but I didn't want that. I didn't want anything except to replay the trial that I should have won. Why did she hang on? I didn't want to be cruel to her, but I didn't want this marriage." Now, you just admitted that you made many mistakes.
Right.
On this side of your healing talk, what advice would you give to lawyers regarding family?
First of all, family has to come first. I made that mistake, and I hurt people. I hurt my then wife, who had been a very good friend of me, had been very good to me. More importantly, I think I hurt my children, and I put them in a situation where a lot of what they see is hypocritical, I think. And it's taken a while and a lot of healing and a lot of work for us to come through that, where they now see their father as somebody that they want to be with and that they care about and that they understand loves them. But for a while, they didn't get that. This is a story that I've kind of written into a poem, because this is the message I want for my fellow trial lawyers at the very least to get, but really it's applicable to everybody, but it's written to trial lawyers. If I could read the poem, I'd be happy to do that.
Please, please.
It's entitled "The Warrior." The trust she placed in me complete. Her life she'd laid down at my feet. My confidence was more than strong. I'd waited for this case so long. Then came the time to show the world that I was the one to help this girl. But victories had made me weak. I did not know I'd reached my peak. We made it public for all to see. Pride snuck in, it now owned me. I'll win this case, and in the press, the world will see my very best. The world will see a hero, right? Perhaps there should have been some fright. The jury fought 10 hours plus. Certainly, they'd ruled for us. But they answered the first question no. A feeling from deep inside did grow. It stung a bit, but wasn't done. Before it left, I was the one who sat alone at home. Thoughts of worthlessness did roam. Others would not share this strife, and for a while I thought I'd end my life. What could pull me through this grief? What could bring me some relief? That Berretta sat just feet away, but pain was not all that I'd slay. Others cared, and I knew it too, but I didn't want them close, that's true. Shame had taken over my heart, and then I looked back at the start. I believed I'd built this story, that I deserved the fame, the glory. Arrogance, conceit, and pride were all that I now held inside. Let it go. I'm just a part of a larger tale that is the art of love and life and loss, that like a ship on waves will toss. I cannot stop the rolling seas or the self-inflicted pain appease. So take this pride and foolish shame. I'm only strong when I am lame. Now remember who you truly are. Stop trying to be someone's star. Just love your friends, your kids, your wife. The rest is just your busy strife. The job you do, it matters, sure. But it's not you, so do not pour your whole life into the voice of 12. For if you do, your soul you shelve. Keep your focus on what counts. Know that when the battle mounts, you'll do your best to make it right. But sometimes evil wins the fight. Live to fight another day. Do not throw all you've been away. Put down the gun, lift up your head, and choose to go back in instead. A warrior does not win each fight, but continues on with all his might. A warrior would not walk away. This warrior will not die today.
Wow. Wow. And that's just a taste, guys. That kind of writing style is throughout Todd's book. It truly will pull you in. I was just literally, I read it before and I was like locked in listening to every single word. It's that powerful. He did a great job with your book, The Power Within. So, Todd, in your book, you included a reverse Psalm 23.
Yes.
But towards the end of your book, you have the actual correct rendition of Psalm 23. And you started out your book, your bio saying that you're first and foremost a child of a loving and forgiving God. What has exactly changed for you? And I would like for you to also share that reverse Psalm if you don't mind. But what changed?
Sure. So the change went from living a life focused on myself and focused on my wants and my fleshly desires and my success as the world sees it, to understanding that the only time that I'm going to ever be successful is when I give it to the Lord. And the only time that I'm ever going to truly be happy is when I'm happy in my walk with Him. And so I've done a lot of work in the area of self-reflection and self-analysis of who I was and who I am. And so that really has changed. And I think when you hear the reverse Psalm 23, it really does kind of explain where I was and what put me in that closet. I didn't write this, so I don't want to take credit for it. One of my pastors and his beautiful wife actually wrote it, and Pastor Avery Montgomery gave this as part of a sermon on a very similar topic that touched me. And that's why I included it in my book. I've left the Lord, my shepherd. I am wanting. I am unable to lie down in green pastures. I find myself in chaotic waters. My soul is exhausted. I walk down paths in the wrong direction. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear every evil, for God is not with me. There is no rod or staff to comfort me. I go hungry before my enemies. I have lost the anointing and am desperate for blessing. Goodness and mercy do not follow me, but I must chase them every day of my life. I will not dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And that's where I was on that day.
Wow. Wow. So, The Power Within, that book is on Amazon.
Yes.
Do you have it anywhere else?
It's also on Barnes and Nobles, and there's a dedicated site at getpowerwithin.com.
Well, Todd, wow. There's not enough time to really pull all of your story out, and we do want the audience to go and read your book. So again, ladies and gentlemen, The Power Within, Todd Kelly, trial attorney. And Todd, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just want to thank you for having me, Trudy. I really appreciate it. And very kind words. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Kelly, and go check out getpowerwithin.com. Getpowerwithin.com. That will be on the credits for you, so you can make sure you spell it correctly, but getpowerwithin.com. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.